Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Play, Pause, Rewind. It has been a busy month, but we are back for our 118th episode. Niles, how have you been the last few weeks since our last recording?
I've been nothing but wonderful. It's been a great time, actually. Um, for those listeners who listened to the last episode, I took off a little bit of time to go on a little vacation, got out of America. If you've not been to Italy, I highly recommend it. It's a fun time. It's beautiful, lots of great food, and it's just nice to see another part of the world and experience a different culture and just kind of resets just kind of everything, like your perspective. And so I just really valued that experience. So highly recommend. It's a good time. But yeah, coming back to reality has been kind of, it's always a roller coaster coming back from vacation, just like catching up on everything. It feels like, yeah, just a deluge has just broken loose. And I'm just like trying to find which, like the boards and something to float on. And it's been kind of a mess, but otherwise, I've been great. How about you, Dylan? How have you been?
Honestly, a lot better. This past weekend was my birthday, which was a lot of fun. Did a lot of fun, exciting things, saw a lot of friends, and then I took uh Monday and Tuesday of this week off work, which has really helped me recharge. I think I really needed to. I may have told you off air, but for the listeners, I have taken before this week a total of
Mm-hmm.
20 hours off work all year.
My God.
And only 8 of those hours were for vacation. The rest were
Mm-hmm.
just like other obligations I had. So no wonder I have been so fried for such a long time.
Yeah, you're like doing the math, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, so that makes sense why I was not not
Yeah.
feeling 100% all the time. Oh.
Yeah, it was a poor decision making on my part, but we've just been so busy. For some reason I did look at Slack a couple hours ago just to kind of see what I've got in store for me tomorrow morning, and I'm like, "Oh god, every channel is lit up." I know.
Like, oh no, there's stuff to catch up on. It's gonna be a rude awakening, but I'm
It
glad you
is.
got
It is.
some
It is.
some R and
But
R.
as usual, we are here to talk about films or TV. In this case, we're talking about a film, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, adapted from Mary Shelley's 1918 and 1931 gothic horror novel. Guillermo del Toro's 2025 version of Frankenstein follows scientist Victor Frankenstein as he attempts to conquer death and creates a creature out of the fallen remains of other humans. The film stars Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth, and Christoph Waltz. Niles, what are your initial thoughts on Frankenstein?
Oh, it's my initial thoughts. I was just so incredibly impressed by this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's this adaptation. It's incredibly faithful to the source material, and I always love that when we see a movie like that. That's like just following through on like the original
Mm-hmm.
vision, the intention, and everything like that. And I haven't read Frankenstein in probably over 8 years at this point, but I remember after I read it for the first time in school, I was like, I'm gonna go back and
Mm-hmm.
reread this on my own because there's just so much there. It's such a rich story. It's honestly one of the greatest novels in history, in my opinion. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. Um, but I think Del Toro's vision or version really shortens some segments and removes others entirely to make the story tighter. And I think that really
Mm-hmm.
works. He made some very smart strategic choices with this film. And I remember doing research before we hopped on today. Um, just like this has been like Del Toro's dream forever, like making
Mm.
this movie.
Okay.
Like it seems like every article that I've read about it, it's just been like he's as when he first watched the original Frankenstein movie, he was like, "This is what I want to do. Like I want to make this movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is a dream come true for him." And he really did a phenomenal job following through on it. Because yeah, the movie it's very strong, and I think it hits
Mm-hmm.
on all those major beats from the novel. If you've read it, you'll recognize, you know, what's happening, and you can kind of anticipate
Mm-hmm.
what's coming next. But that story, it's a classic for a reason. It's just such a profound exploration of creationism, nature versus
Mm-hmm.
nurture, ambition, isolation, ethics in science and technology, and I think that comes through very strong here as well in Del Toro's film. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I just love the costumes, the set designs, um, the way everyone's dressed. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very kind of gothic, Victorian esque. And everyone's also got kind of their own personalized style too, which is really cool. Like Mia
Mm-hmm.
Goth's character just looks like so unique, you know.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah. What about you, Dylan? What are some of your initial thoughts?
Yes, I also thought this was great, and from memory, I agree. It feels like a very faithful adaptation of Mary Shelley's novel. But like you, though, I haven't read it in a long time. I believe I haven't read it since I read it in high school, like 15 years ago. This is
Hmm.
actually my copy from high school, all
Wow.
marked up. Yeah, I got a bunch of my old books out of storage recently, including this one. So, that's
Nice.
fun. But like as with all of Guillermo del Toro's films that I've seen, I love the look and the production design. Couple standout things were like Victor's lab as a set and just location was really really neat. Also those big like chonky coffins that people get buried in that have the fit. Sorry, there's
Yeah.
a fly flying around on my computer. Go away. Oh my god. um the like and they put the faces on when they get buried. It's like they're very
Hmm.
just strange looking. There's also an angel that appears a handful of times throughout the film that I thought was really
Hmm.
really unsettling to look at as well, or maybe not an angel, maybe it's a demon, I don't know. But
Who knows?
that was great. Yeah. And I wanted to say too about this story because I could see like people unfamiliar with Frankenstein, like what Frankenstein is, like someone who doesn't know anything about the book and is just going into this movie without that knowledge somehow.
Yeah.
I could see people feeling that maybe it's a bit cliche in certain elements or just,
Hmm.
tropey. But I think it's important to remember that a lot of the tropes in this story came from it. This is it's
Yes.
not cliche. It's prototypical. Like this is I think one of the original gothic horror stories. It's it's very old. So
Yes.
if it feels um sort of tropey in that way, it's because it made them. It is the
Yeah. Like
original.
it originated the tropes. It's this is where
Mhm. Yeah.
we get kind of like this standard tale of creation, kind of I think the mad scientist trope as well to a certain degree. I
Mhm.
think comes from Frankenstein as well.
Yeah. Mhm. Yes. It really good though. I wish it was staying in theaters for longer. I'm getting really like this is an improvement for Netflix for sure. What they did with Glass Onion last year, and then Wake Up Dead Man is coming out in theaters for a little bit, and this came out in theaters. Like it's nice that we're at least getting limited theatrical windows. We're lucky enough to live in a big enough city where it is being screened, but I'm fed up with these streamers like keeping movies that should be seen on big screens contained to
Mm,
streaming services. Like that never does a film justice. So I wish it was in more theaters and I wish it was in theaters for longer.
agreed. Yeah, I think this is a movie that you need to see on the big screen if you can. It just adds just kind of another element.
Hmm.
Our screening was packed, which shows that there's like demand
It
for like
was.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I will say a slightly bad screening experience for a little bit of the movie though. Dude, the people in front of us were driving me
Hmm.
insane. That like one guy came in like 15 minutes into the movie and the lady sitting next to him was trying to signal where she was, so she just turned on her phone and held it out like right in front of my fucking face to signal it's a light for this guy, and he was moving really slow, so she held it out there for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
theater
not
etiquette,
the best
man,
viewing
it's a
experience,
thing
but it
of the
was cool to
past, I
see it
suppose.
in
But
theater.
any final non-spoiler thoughts on Frankenstein before we jump into
Oh my god.
spoilers for this 200+ year old story?
Hmm.
Oh, you're still here.
Um, yeah, yeah. My internet's been buggy right now. Um, Well, I will just say as well,
Okay.
so we can kind of move on, that the movie is not. It's based on a horror novel, gothic horror novel. It's not scary or frightening. I would say it's. Can't wait to come back. I'm gonna restart
You're
that
back. I
thought
see you.
because my internet cut out again. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, although the film is based on a horror novel, gothic horror novel, it's not scary or frightening, I would say. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's rather more unnerving. It's kind of more cerebral horror. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
trying to kind of force you
Yeah.
into thinking about this story in a different way and how it kind of
Mm-hmm.
relates to your own life. But Guillermo del Toro, he breathes so much new life into this story, and he puts his own kind of personal spin on it too here. Like it's kind of this
Mm-hmm.
maximalist in every way. That's kind of his trademark style, I would say. But it's also very soulful. There's
Mm-hmm.
lots of emotion in this movie, and it just looks really really great too.
Yeah. I agree, and we've talked about this with horror movies before on the show because like people who aren't familiar with the genre do assume like, oh, horror movie is a scary movie. It's like, not necessarily. It's about it's like a set of themes and styles and stuff like that more than anything else. And this is like the subgenre of gothic horror. And I want to say too the performance wise, I think everybody is good in it, but not everyone really gets as much of a spotlight. I will say, like Oscar Isaac and Jacob Elordi are front and center throughout the entire time, and I think for this story, those are the two performances that really, really need to work, and they do. They both do a really great job, which should not be surprising, but it's
Yeah,
good that those two characters were so thoroughly nailed. But with that, I think you want to hop into spoilers for a little bit.
yeah. Let's hop into spoilers. Let's go there.
All
Why
right.
not? So, we start off the story with the prelude here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to say, as we're jumping in here, that I'm so impressed with how they incorporated the Arctic voyage into this film. This is exactly
Mm-hmm.
how like the novel starts out. You start off and it's like this captain who finds Victor
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein like basically on death's door. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just so glad that they brought that into this film here because that's like I think pretty important to the story because it's kind of like where the story ends. When they're
Yeah.
when they're doing the hunt all the way to the Arctic, that's where the story ends.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to kind of tie it all together that way. And Shelley's novel is just like this very it's a masterpiece. It's a masterful work of diegesis.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I mean, it's kind of like a story within a story within a story. Like there's kind of these
Mm-hmm.
multiple layers of narration going on because this novel begins with the same northern voyage, running into Frankenstein. He's weak. He's on death's door, and he's unable to
Mm-hmm.
fully speak and kind of recount his tale. And but he's kind of struggles through it. And the way that that's communicated to the reader is it's from the captain's perspective in letters he's writing to his sister.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it starts off. And so
Uh-huh.
within that is Victor's story, and Captain primarily learns about that story from Victor, but also like through some documents and letters that he has on his person, I believe. Um,
Uh-huh.
but like it's just then you have like Victor as like the narrator, and then later on, then the creature becomes the narrator when he comes aboard the ship. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read it in a while, so I can't remember all the exact layers, but like I just really respect and admire that in the novel because each narrator exists within the narrative
Mm-hmm.
space of one another, and when they're telling the story, so it kind of creates this diversity of perspectives while
Right.
also making each narrator kind of unreliable, and it
Mm-hmm.
forces you as a reader as the audience to kind of question what is true, what is the real like story here. And I think the fact that we start off the film this way with Victor's telling his story and then you get the
Mm-hmm.
creature's perspective, it kind of adds to that of like questioning of, well, is that how Victor really behaved? Is that how the creature really is? And I
Mm-hmm.
just love that about this story.
Yeah, I love that too. And for those unfamiliar with the term diegesis as well, I think the way you're using it here is like the story is being told to us via something that exists within the world of the story. Um,
Correct.
there's a technique that I love that's centered around like music and movies called shifting diegesis, and it's where
Mm-hmm.
like that's like a character might be out running or something and a song is playing on the soundtrack, and then they go in and take out a headphone and you hear the song coming from the headphones. Like it goes from,
Mm-hmm.
omniscient to within the story. It's a fun little technique, and I love like the opposite too. But yeah, I really like the Arctic voyage as well, and I remembered bits and pieces of it from the book. I remember that I thought there was some confrontation between Victor and the creature, and then there was the letters. But and the book, so the book starts with the voyage as well. And I
Mm-hmm.
do love that narrative structure where we start at sort of the end of the story and then we jump back. And then I
Yeah.
like to how we keep cutting back to the ship as as the creature gets more involved in the narration as well. And you have especially like when the creature is telling his tale, Victor is there for the whole time, and you can kind of see
Mm.
his reactions as the story is unfolding before us. And I think you have a note here that's not the case in the book, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Again, I haven't read it in forever, so this was someone else telling me or reminding me how the structure of the
Mm-hmm.
novel was. But yeah, I think at when the creature kind of enters the ship and starts to recount his side of the story, Victor is like either so far gone on death's door that he's like about to die, or like he dies
Mm-hmm.
before they could really have like this kind of apologetic conversation, from my
Okay.
recollection.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, the captain is played by Lars Mikkelsen. Great actor.
love
Always
it.
love to see him and stuff.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. And yeah, the ship's voyage north too. I think it's a good starting point for this story because it starts to frame the themes of the story and the direction that
Mm-hmm.
we're going to. Because the captain and their whole mission, they're kind of overextending themselves here for this
Mm-hmm.
achievement. Like this is at like a time when like Arctic expeditions weren't really a thing. Like the novel itself actually was set even before the 1800s, if I remember right. It was like set in like the
Okay.
1770s or something like that. So this
Okay.
movie is like more 1850s. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, but even at that time, Arctic voyages were not really like a big thing. It's like this story of ambition. The captain and his crew were like very ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of overreaching. They don't. The ice is stopping them from getting to the most northerly point of the world, and
Yeah.
they're trying to like stretch their technology and their science as far as possible for this kind of vain achievement to reach the
Mm-hmm.
unreachable. And I think that just it runs parallel to Victor Frankenstein's story of how he's trying to cheat death. And I think that's just a good way to start off the story. It starts off on like, we're just framing this narrative from the get go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it's a nice ending as well, because after the final sort of confrontation, the creature frees the ship from the ice, and then the
Yeah.
captain makes a choice to, okay, we're going home. We're not going to keep pushing this. We've like it's like he has sort of learned from the failures and reconciliation of Victor and the creature to sort of, you know, respect the balance of things a little bit more. It's like, where this is beyond
Mm-hmm.
us, we're gonna go home, and I'm gonna keep like protect my men.
We've already lost so many men to that monster alone. Let's get out of here before we freeze to death.
Yeah.
um,
Um,
but
but
yeah,
yeah, carrying on to like there are some pretty significant changes in the book. Do you want to run through a few of those?
yes, absolutely. So Victor, in Del Toro's film,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I haven't read the book in a while, so I could be missing some things or misremembering, but this
Mm-hmm.
Victor seems far crueler, more delusional than Shelley's version. I think in the
Okay.
book, he's ambitious. He's on a similar
Mm-hmm.
quest to beat death, to like reanimate this body and create his creature. but
Yeah.
I don't think it was to the same degree that Oscar Isaac brings, or that like Del Toro kind of wrote for this character. I think
Right.
he's more cruel here, and he's kind of more of a liar, I would say, too, in this movie. Like, there's a point where, after he shoots Elizabeth, um, and he's like, the monster did it. Like, he tells everybody immediately, like, trying to like push the blame off of himself. And I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
Just wow, dude. That's a pretty.
He
tells
William that he killed Christoph Waltz too. That the creature killed him when he totally dies by falling during the storm. Which I also feel like you didn't need to tell that lie. You could have just said we were up here during the storm and he fucking fell. I tried to save him because he did. He tried to save him.
He did. Yeah. I don't know why he was acting so weird about that. Victor's an odd man, to be sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but he almost strikes me as he's evil, but your echo cancellation is off, but it is what it is. Nothing we can do about it. He's evil, but he's more thoughtless than he is evil. Like he's singular in his thinking, and he doesn't really care about the consequences of his actions as much. He just it seems like he just doesn't think about them until it's too late, which we'll come back to later on.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like that. There's another thing too with Elizabeth. Actually forgot to write this one down, but she in the book she is just his fiance. In the movie they added another layer of him having a brother, and she's his fiance, which I thought was an interesting detail there. I think it's kind of add more sympathy to the monster character, and she forms kind of this bond with the monster too, which doesn't happen in the book at all. Like, that's just not a thing.
Interesting.
But I'm glad that they added her bond with the monster, because it allowed us to kind of connect with the creature a little bit more, understand the humanity, and allow it to sympathize with it more too.
Yes, it also gives us a different perspective of someone interacting with the creature that gives it that humanity. Like, she connects with him, and there's some sort of bond there. Like, Victor is unable to sort of push him to the next level in terms of intelligence, but the different approach Elizabeth takes when talking to him, I think, like, the more kind approach sort of allows him to learn his second word, basically. It kind of jumpstarts his growth. Also, it allows for this element of when it's apparent that Victor killed the creature, like when they think that's what happened, like it creates this wedge between Victor and Elizabeth. And do you remember, like, other than being Frankenstein's fiance in the book, does Elizabeth have anything to really do other than like be there and get killed?
No, I don't think so. I can't remember. Maybe.
Very old book.
Very old book. Yeah. And there's also this bit too in the novel about the companion. So in the novel, Victor agrees to create a companion for the creature, so that the two, like, creature basically promises Victor, like, if you create this companion, we'll leave humanity alone. We're just going to go off on our own, and we'll do our own thing, and like, you'll never see us again, basically.
Yeah.
But then partway through the project, he's like starting to put together the body and everything. He sees like the monster kind of watching him work, basically, and he just has this thought in his head where it's just like, it's these fears that these two are going to procreate and create this new demonic species that would lead to the destruction of humanity one day. And so out of that fear, he destroys the body, and just, completely gets rid of it. And then that leads to the monster, or the creature, then, killing Elizabeth and kind of starting this whole hunter-hunted dynamic. But in Del Toro's movie, that's not here. That's not here at all. Like, Victor, they have like a brief conversation about it, and Victor just completely dismisses the notion of creating a companion for the creature, and the subject is never brought up again. And I don't know, I'm kind of torn on it, because I would have liked to see that part of the story put in there. Like I
Mm-hmm.
understand why it probably wasn't put in, and I think it's probably more like runtime and dialogue. Like you could just cover this
Mm-hmm.
subject pretty quickly, but I kind of wish that they explored it a little bit more, because I feel like that companion part further illustrates the creature's isolation and
Mm-hmm.
his need for basic human compassion and just being accepted by someone.
Yeah, I agree, and that's I'll jump down to it now just because it ties in with this. But I
Mm,
like one of the critiques I have of the film is that I wish we got more time with Victor and the creature interacting, like after the creature has gained full intelligence and is the way he is in most of his tale, because it's like they they interact kind of once with each other in that state before the hunting starts, and then they have the reconciliation at the end, and that's fine. I think it works overall, but I would have liked to see them form some sort of relationship. And the section from the book where Victor does accept to make the companion for a while could have been a good spot to develop their relationship. As
yeah,
is, we just don't get a ton of that.
yeah, I agree with you. I think that would have been great, and that would have been a perfect opportunity to build that out a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more. Um, but yeah, you only have so much time, and I think this movie's already 2.5 hours. So
It is. I agree. I think it's a runtime thing. It's a long movie already, and they cover the arc in that conversation. Victor just is like, "No, I'm not
yeah,
doing that. I know what. Like I did this once. I'm not
hmm
doing it again."
well, and yeah, he destroyed his lab too, so he doesn't have all the
Mm-hmm.
equipment to do it again. So just kind of logistics kind of make it difficult. Um,
Right.
but then yeah, in this movie, Victor accidentally kills Elizabeth on her wedding night, trying to kill
Mm-hmm.
like defend her and shoot the creature, but he shoots
Yeah.
her right in the stomach. But in the book, yeah, the creature murders Elizabeth on their wedding
Mm-hmm.
night,
Yeah.
and at like I said, that's what kind of sparks this whole chase around the globe and the whole
Mm-hmm.
revenge story from there. Because at that point, uh, yeah, Victor's got nothing left to live for, so he just wants to end the creature,
Yeah.
And
And
then,
then we
yeah,
talked about this already, but the Victor is, I guess, dead in the book by the time the creature shows up. Like they have their reconciliation at an earlier point in time, and he's gone his separate ways.
no, not that I remember. I think because he's still chasing the monster. It's kind of like this whole like if I remember right, the creature sets like a ultimatum like I'm going to the North Pole because he like leaves like a note behind for Victor to find, and he's like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to the North Pole. That's where you'll find me, and meet me there. And we can have our final battle or whatever confrontation.
Okay.
And Victor's just so weak by the time that they find him, like the ship finds him, that he's just like
Uh
so
huh.
close to death that I don't think, at least from my memory, I don't think that they have the chance to make amends with each other.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I'm
Unfortunately,
definitely gonna reread it now
me too.
after seeing the movie. I may need to get a new copy because this one's pretty beat up, but I will read the book again. But yeah, some of these differences that we've talked about from the book tie in with the principal criticism I have seen leveled at this movie,
Mm,
and it's that the film really removes the creature's violence, and it has him really only kill people in self-defense or by accident. And like as you said already in the book, he murders Elizabeth. I actually think the change of Victor accidentally killing her works for this version of the story. The way they change Elizabeth and the creature's relationship and her and Victor's relationship, I think that's the right way for that to go. But I overall do agree with the criticism. It seems like it was made by Del Toro, like out of empathy for the creature as a character.
mm,
Like he didn't ask to be brought into this world, and he's doing the best he can, and people just don't accept him. I understand that, and I understand that this was probably a choice done to allow like increase audience empathy for the creature, but I think it went too far. We should like still be able to empathize with the creature as a more imperfect victim of Victor's meddling, and I kind of wish Del Toro had placed a bit more trust in us as the audience to be able to do that. Like, the creature does, he makes no actively cruel decisions in the
Mm,
movie. And
true.
that is not the character from the book.
Yeah. No, I think you're right because it does take away like an element of what the
Mhm.
creature is, and I think he, like, if you were born today, it's like you're trying to grapple with all these emotions and the
Mhm.
experiences going on around you,
Yeah.
everything everywhere all at once. It's coming at you nonstop, and like you have to like learn really quick. You got to catch
Mhm.
up, and like you're experiencing these emotions for the first time: rage, grief,
Mhm.
fear, like happiness. Like there's just like you don't know how to deal with them, and I think that's
Mhm.
where some of the murders in the book that the creature does
Yeah.
come from. They kind of stem from that rage and this like he doesn't know where he is, he doesn't know his place in the world, and like he
Mhm.
feels very lost. So I think like sometimes it is self-defense, but I think other times he's just doing it because he's just like he's overwhelmed, or it's just like I think there's also that horror angle that comes into play in the book too,
Mhm.
like if he's just killing kind of anyone, and he
Yeah.
can, we've seen
Mhm.
it. It's like, that's pretty horrific. This creature that won't die is like killing the town. Like that'll haunt you in your dreams.
Yeah, but and I think like a good way to make it work in this version of the story without compromising what Del Toro was going for too much is like I really love the creature's tale, and I love him hiding in that cabin,
Oh,
and like
so cute.
bonding with the old man over the winter, like the
Mm-hmm.
blind old man who can't recognize him. Like all that stuff is great. It, despite it being like unrealistic that the family doesn't notice him at all or whatever. But who cares?
It's the
But
forest spirits.
yeah, and I'll like give it a pass too because I feel like the blind man kind of knew that there was a guy there and he was just like throwing the rest of them off the scent. But I think the way to sort of merge the original version with Del Toro's vision is like you have that play out kind of the way it does, and then the people come back, and then after all the kindness he showed them and trying to protect the old man, you like try to have him explain what happened, and they're violent to him, and that makes him angry.
Yes.
And then that leads to, and that after the experience with Victor, like it makes him think, oh, the world is just cruel and they're never going to accept me, and then he can lash out and like kill a person or two. You can keep everything else the same, but I think he
Mm-hmm.
needed to do a little bit, he needed to have a cruel streak that he didn't really have.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. I'll also say that I didn't feel like the secondary characters really got a whole lot of development. Speaking primarily of William, Victor's younger brother, and the benefactor, whose name I have further in the notes, but I'm forgetting it right now. Christoph Waltz's character. It's like
Right.
they were fine. They served their purpose in the movie, but there wasn't a whole lot that really like made them stick with me. You know.
Yeah, and I can't remember in the novel if those characters even existed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think yeah, you probably could have done away with the benefactor if you're trying to cut somebody, but whatever, yeah, they didn't have a lot to do, and they were just yeah, kind of there just to serve as a plot device. But I
Mm-hmm.
will say that really enjoyed the start of Victor's story as well, like from
Mm-hmm. With his
childhood.
childhood, yes.
Yes, the childhood part is great. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember there being a lot of that in the novel. I could be wrong. But I think it's so fantastic because it just like kind of establishes a very similar dynamic in Victor's life with
Mm-hmm.
like father and son, like creator and like creation, that I think influences the way that he uh, is like raising his kid and like
Mm-hmm.
trying to instruct him.
Yeah.
I thought that was just great for them to add, and always nice to see. I'm blanking on his name, but that
Charles
actor.
Dance.
Thank you, Charles Dance. He's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes, I agree. But let's sort of close out with some thoughts on like what is this film and book, I suppose, trying to say. What probably one of the most discussed pieces of literature. Let's add our
Yeah.
our little perspectives to it.
Yeah, let's throw in our 2 cents on this. Yeah, the most widely discussed book that you'll see in high school. Um, I don't know if the film is trying to say anything new on top of like the
Hmm.
story. Like I think there's already so much going on in the tale of
Yeah.
Frankenstein that there's you don't need to add a lot of new stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. And
Hmm.
to me, I think that Frankenstein, the story and this film, it is really a warning tale of the ambitions of man. Um, and I think this movie is really trying to force the audience to wrestle with the idea of what humanity is, what
Hmm.
sympathy is. Like, if you, like, literally what I just said a few minutes ago, like, if you were born today and you didn't know shit, but you're in your adult body, it's like there's a lot that you need to catch up on. Like,
Hmm.
it's going to take some time, and you got to be kind of sympathetic with or you want people to be sympathetic with you. That's the struggle of
Right.
humanity. You're
Hmm.
constantly learning, and trying to improve. And but I think the film, it's also forcing you as an audience to grapple with the ethical nature of progress, of
Hmm.
scientific progress, technological achievements, all that stuff. Victor, he was dead set on this dream, this ambition to reanimate
Hmm.
bodies, um, from the get go. Like we saw it when he's doing this presentation to
Hmm.
like that college, um, and he's animating this body that's like half of a body. It doesn't
Right.
have skin on. It's like screaming in pain. It's so grotesque.
Uh-huh.
It's like you clearly did this without consent from anybody. The person
Hmm.
that you reanimated, they didn't consent, and you're causing tremendous pain to this victim.
Yep.
And he did it again with the creature. And I think his
Hmm.
ambition drives him to achieve this goal of conquering death, to be victorious and conquer without considering the consequences of what will happen next. What like so you created life, that's amazing. He had no interest in being a parent whatsoever. He
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
he didn't care about that. Like he had no idea how to instruct the creature. Like he had not considered. Like I think there's even a line that he says. He's like, I did not even consider what would happen next after I reached the achievement. Like he only wanted to
Hmm.
reanimate the corpse because of his own scientific drive and his ambition and his quest to be
He's
better
like
than
a
father.
dog chasing cars. You don't know what to do with one if you actually caught
So
it.
true though. It's so true.
Yeah, but I think that is an important part of his motivation that plays into the cruelty of the character. Like he was wanting to conquer death, but ended up creating life and did not have an interest
Hmm.
in any of the responsibility that comes with that. And we can like further see this with how he treats Herr Harlander, Christoph Waltz's character. I have it written in the notes here so I can remember.
There we go.
When because Harlander, we find out that he has syphilis, and
Hmm.
that's why he's backing Frankenstein's work. Is he wants a new body for himself,
Right.
and Victor rejects it entirely, and I feel like that is a moment where we are seeing he is given a choice between conquering death and creating a new life, and he chooses the latter because that it feels more self-centered and egotistical, like he's making something new, right? He's
Yes.
not preserving what already exists. And building on what you said a little while ago, I think we can look at this because like generally when people talk about this, it's like, oh, the dangers of playing God, and that's fine, especially for the time it was written. Like there's an element of that, but I think we can look at it from an even more like general and secular lens. Also, I think it's just like there is a truth that creation inherently comes with consequences and responsibilities. If you aren't
Yes.
willing to deal with the consequences, then don't create the thing that would yield those consequences. I think we can even today apply that to like the AI stuff. The
Yes.
people the people who keep pushing all this AI, they are reckless. They don't give a shit about the consequences and what it will do. It's like, why did we create a technology that makes it so we can never trust a video or photograph again? Why did
Yeah.
we do that? Why would we, like, that's a very dangerous technology to develop, and they
Mm-hmm.
did it because it brings them prestige and money and power, and it gives the powerful people like the means to manipulate the truth. But I think it's such a true thing to just be mindful of what you're doing and think about what would come next. And Frankenstein in the story just doesn't. And that is where,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's where I think his cruelty really shines through, is just in his selfishness. Like, he's not, we understand why he's motivated to do what he does, but he's so absorbed. But I will say too, I don't like, the film is very focused on empathy for the creature, but I don't think it is without empathy for Victor Frankenstein himself
Mm-hmm.
either, because like you were saying, the stuff about his childhood, his actions are cruel and not painted very kindly, but we clearly see that, like, he was a victim of abuse as well. His
Yes.
father neglected him emotionally. He beat him with the switch when he got answers wrong, and he was like cold and abusive. And we've talked about cycles of violence on the show before, right? And I think we can really see that here. Who Victor became was sort of instilled at him at a young age by the way his dad treated him, and we can see that in play by how the dad is much kinder to William, and William grows up to seemingly at least have a more well-adjusted life. You know, he's
Yes.
engaged to be married. He's friendlier, and he's more of a man about society than Frankenstein becomes. And so it's that nurture versus nature thing you were talking about earlier as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I do appreciate that while the film paints Frankenstein more as the villain, uh, more as like black and white the villain, it's still not entirely unfair to him, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not entirely black and white. It's kind of gray in some certain aspects
Mm-hmm.
there, because yeah, it's like if he had a different kind of upbringing, maybe Victor would have been a good parent for his creation. Maybe he wouldn't have gone and tried to create this monstrosity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you are kind of the sum of all your actions in a
Yeah.
way, and he it's tough to outweigh the bad with the good with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like it seems like he's parenting the creature, also named Victor, I suppose. The only way he knows how, which is to just try to like drill him into learning things. And like I thought Oscar Isaac did such a good job at that early part where
Yeah.
you can see his frustration. He's like, I know there's more in there, and you can just tell he just like, I need to know how to teach you what you need to learn, and I don't
Hmm.
know how.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of lost there.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fantastic. I feel like I could rewatch this movie and have new observations, new things to pull out of it. Because yeah, there's lots of cool
Mm-hmm.
stuff going on here. Like, even we barely even talked about Elizabeth. Like, even though she's a side character, I kind of, and in the original movie or the original novel, she doesn't really have a ton of agency from my recollection, and she definitely
Mm-hmm.
has some more here. But I'm like, I kind of wish she had a little more to do, in a way.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and I think there's something there with Mia Goth's character,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe I'm not seeing.
Yeah. Well, I love the confessional scene too. I thought that was really
Mm-hmm.
funny where like Victor thinks he's being all like sneaky and trying to get like information out of her, and then she like noticed him immediately and is just fucking with him and starts
It's
It's
so
great.
good.
It's good stuff. But any final thoughts on Frankenstein?
No, it's just great all around, and it makes me want to go back and rewatch some of other Del Toro's monster movies. Like, I never watched The Shape of Water, so I need to go watch that. And I know he's made
Yeah.
some others. I feel like he's got kind of this affinity for monstrosities, uh, and I want to explore those.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I agree. I really liked this. I think you can tell. It makes some changes, but I feel like Guillermo del Toro's motivation with making it is he wanted to make a somewhat updated but ultimately very faithful adaptation of
Yes.
Frankenstein. Like you can tell it was very much made with love, and it's well executed, well acted. Go see it if you have the opportunity to. If not, I think it's out on Netflix like soon. So
Yeah,
give it a
it'll be there
watch.
soon. Yeah, just in
But
time
with
for
that,
Halloween.
yeah, spooky time. But with that, let's transition into some other stuff we've been watching, reading, playing, etc. Niles, what have you been up to recently?
So I've been there's a lot of stuff that you can do on a plane for 10 hours and a lot of that stuff is watching movies. So I watched some good movies on the way to and back from my trip. I finally watched 28 Years Later. Um, Fantastic movie. I was so impressed by it, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care that it's been like over a decade since we got the last one. I'm just happy we got this one because this is amazing. I was so impressed by it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to spoil too much, but I honestly got choked up on the plane when the mother character passed away. That was very emotional for me. Um,
I love how you started that thought with "I don't want to spoil too much," but here's
but here's a
a
big
major
spoiler.
plot beat about a major character death.
Oh, but it's so good, and I'm looking forward to Bone Temple. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Something like that.
Yep. It comes out this year too. I think, or early next year, very soon.
Cool. Well, yeah, I thought that was really fun. And since I had time to kill, I was like, oh, there's some Mission Impossible movies. I'm going to watch my favorite one, which is the third one, with Philip Seymour
Okay.
Hoffman. So I rewatched that on the plane. And yeah, I still love his performance in it. That's my favorite part of it, is just how he plays that character. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of like, I think it's an interesting one because like you have these cast of characters like helping out Ethan Hunt. Like there's like a
Mm-hmm.
few extra agents, and Luther's there, and Simon Pegg's character
Yeah.
is there too, but they're kind of Simon
Mm-hmm.
Pegg's is kind of like more way off in the background. Um,
Yeah.
and just
This
those
was the
back.
first one he was in. Yeah.
That's it. But like those two other side characters who are kind of helping out, they're just like after this movie, they're just gone from the franchise. It's just like, wait, what? Where'd they go? But
Yeah.
I thought it's still fun. It's camp
Mm-hmm.
in its own way, and um, yeah, it's also very absurd in some ways too, where it's just like, oh, I love you so much, Ethan. Let's get married at the hospital right now.
Yeah, I to me, like this is the one. I think the first three Mission Impossible movies are all awesome in their own way, but it feels like all of them are so different from each other. They were trying to figure out what the franchise is going to be, who Ethan Hunt even is, and I
Yeah,
think they kind of locked in what they were in the fourth one. And then the fourth one on, it's like very consistent vision wise. Like from 5 onward, they had the same writer director team as well, I think. So it's
yeah.
like it was just it's such an interesting franchise. I
It
love
really
it.
is. No, yeah, I had a great time
Mm-hmm.
rewatching it. Yeah, fun movie as always. And Lawrence Fishburne's in it too, which is fun, and I totally forgot about.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and then on the plane back, I actually rewatched Tron Legacy. I hadn't seen that movie in over 10 years, but I figured, hey, it's on
Mm-hmm.
here. I'm seeing all this stuff about Tron Ares. I might as well rewatch it if I ever want to watch that movie. So um, yeah, it's fun. I mean, the best part of it is just the light cycles and
Mm-hmm. And the
etc. Like
soundtrack.
the soundtrack's pretty kick ass, and the planes that they fly around, I think that's all pretty cool. The plot's fine. It's not great, I think, but it's a it's a cool movie. I liked it overall, but yeah, I was like, wow, this
Yeah.
this is good.
Well, I also rewatched Tron Legacy because I didn't want to go see the new one because Jared Leto is a fucking freak and I don't want
Yeah.
to watch a movie with him in it. So it's like I was like I'll rewatch because I hadn't seen Tron Legacy since theaters, and it's like, yeah, you're right. The plot is kind of whatever, but the visuals are really neat. The soundtrack is really
Yes.
neat. Um, Jeff Bridges is fun. There's a great the great bit at the end where he and like Clue are reunited, and then Clue is like, "Oh, the years haven't been good to like, or the cycles haven't been kind," and real Jeff Bridges, like, "Oh, I think you look fine."
Yeah. Oh man, like
Ugh.
God, but every time I looked on screen and Clue's there, or they're having a
Mhm.
flashback and it's young Jeff Bridges with Clue, it's just like, oh man, just that,
Mhm.
I don't know, that de-aging tech at the time, 2010, not great in
Yeah.
my opinion. So it's just kind of a little
Mhm.
jarring whenever that comes
Yeah.
on screen.
Oh yeah, it's very upsetting to look at, but it like I do agree with the argument people make where it's like when it's Clue, it's okay because he's a computer program and he just looks kind of weird.
Yeah.
But when it's the young Jeff Bridges, it's like that's not that's not right.
Yeah, it's like, have him turn around. Just let me see the back of his head. I don't need to see the front of him.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's some good jokes in that movie though, like when she's showing him the books and she's going through. It's like, and this one's from Jules Verne. And he's like, oh, I know Jules Verne, and she's like, oh, what's he like?
yeah. Yeah, it's there's some good quips for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and on the plane too, I also watched Jaws. I've definitely seen it before, so it was a bit of a rewatch.
Hmm.
But there were some things I didn't remember. But man, it's of its era. Like, it's a good movie. It is a good
Oh
movie.
yeah.
The effects of it are really great, especially given the time, because it was like 75. Like,
Hmm.
it's crazy just like how lifelike that shark looks on screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like we were joking about it because we watched it together on the plane, me and my partner. But we were just like,
Hmm.
it feels like a lot of this movie is just like ad libbed or improv, or just like the dialogue is just kind of weird at points. Um, like the sheriff character is like in his study with his wife, and
Uh-huh.
he's like reading all this stuff about sharks, like he's obsessing over it, and she's like, oh, stop worrying about it, like he's so scared about it, and like he's really worried for the town. And then like probably two
Hmm.
beats go by from that line, and she's like, you want to get drunk and fool around? And it's just like, who talks like that? It's so weird. But it's a fun time. Jaws is fun.
Yeah. It's a great
uh,
movie. I got to see it in theaters. I talked about it a little while back on the show, but for the 50th anniversary, I went to the screening at the
oh
AMC, and that
yeah.
was so cool to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see that movie in theaters, actually. Bigger
Hmm.
screen than just the tiny little thing on the
Yeah.
airplane. But we've also been rewatching Succession. I think I mentioned that last episode, just because such a great
Hmm.
show. We really liked it on the first round, and we're kind of missing just the um, the terrible, terrible, terrible nature of these characters.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just fun. Uh,
they're
and
wonderfully awful.
wonderfully, yes. That's a good way to put it. And then last thing is just great British Bake Off. I'm all caught up. I can't remember the exact season we're on, but it's getting down to the wire. Only 5 bakers left. I'm not going to spoil who's in it, but this has been a fun season as well. And yeah, I feel like I've actually learned a few things about baking that I'm not going to apply because I don't bake. But what have you been up to, Dylan?
um, I didn't put this here because I don't know why I'm even talking about it on our show, but I made your Bake Off comment made me
Oh,
think of it. I made pasta sauce from scratch the other week. That was pretty cool.
very nice.
Turned out all right. Turned out all right. It was a little too watery, so I've learned some lessons that I'll apply to next time. I didn't dry the tomatoes out enough before I put them back in the pan. I think there was just too much water.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, and easy to do. Like
Mm.
it's so that was fun. But back to regularly scheduled programming. I I read the I started the Matt Fraction David Aha, I think is his name, the artist.
Hmm.
Um run let me confirm that. Hold on. My life as a weapon. My life as a weapon, the Hawkeye comic. It
Oh yeah, you mentioned
is
that.
yeah, let's see. Matt Fraction. Oh my god, show me the artist. So I'm not a dick. Oh, it just says his last name. Fraction and Aha. Yeah, but I started that. That's the comic run that the TV show, the Hawkeye TV show, is loosely inspired by.
Hmm.
And I really like it. I think the art is really fun to look at. It's really creatively designed. Apparently, they tried to do like as few colors per page as possible and sort of design the entire page together as like a minimal color palette thing. Um, it's interesting because like Clint Barton and Kate Bishop in the comic are very different than their you know MCU counterparts. They have a very different relationship, and so
Mm.
it's kind of a fun thing about like reading the comic versions of these characters that I've been watching in the movies for such a long time because like I get to kind of figure out what was like stripped away or added in for the movies and then kind of sink into a new version of them. And that has been one thing I
Mm.
like about reading more comics is like, oh, every comic I pick up, it's like the character is just slightly different, it's not
Yeah.
I don't really treat them as one continuity. It's just like, oh, I'm reading a Batman story, is this part of another Batman story I read? I don't know, I don't care, it's just Batman. Batman is just doing a thing, and I got to follow him for it. But outside of that, I just finished the new season of Only Murders in the Building last night. Very much a comfort show for me. It's very
Yeah.
funny, um, and it just it's a satisfying little show. Also, the new season of Gen V just ended this week as well, or last
Oh
week.
man.
Um, yeah, it's I like it, it's such an interesting thing because I wasn't like passionately pulled into Gen V really, but it just kind of trucks along in a way that's always satisfying, and the characters really grow on you. The villain this season is really interesting. Has a really
Cool.
good performance at the center of that. And I think like I don't know the extent to which it will tie into the boys' final season because, the Gen V characters who showed up in season 4 of the boys are just there in the background, which is the right way to handle that, I think. Um, but the
Yeah.
ending of Gen V season 2, it's like, ooh, this got me excited for the final season of the boys. There's some stuff that happens at the end. I'm like, okay, that's fun. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Uh,
Awesome. I need to get
but
caught up.
have you haven't started the new season yet, right?
No, I don't. I
No.
don't think I even finished the first season, so I need to. I
Hmm.
got some homework.
Yeah, it's like they were put in a tough situation too because the actor who played Andre, one of the main college kids, he died in real life. So
Right.
they wrote him out and they had his dad sort of step up and become more of a leading role in the show, which I think
Mm.
works. It it feels organic, even though it's like tragic and not organic that they had to do that. But
Mm.
I also have started reading George Orwell's 1984. I have barely started it because I've been very busy, but it's I mean, so I'm not even far enough in to have a real opinion on it yet, but I know it's a classic book. It's just very densely written, and I'm picking up like a lot of the new words, but it feels like an appropriate time to read it.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a book everybody should read. Like I had to
hmm
read it in high school and haven't gone back to it since. But yeah, I think it's so profound and it's incredibly relevant to I think
hmm
everyday life. Not even just like our time right now. I think just like any
hmm
time in history,
yeah,
um, it's very important.
yeah, and I didn't read it in high school. Interestingly, it just wasn't part of our curriculum for whatever
Mm.
reason, which I find odd because I think it is in most high schools, right? Like it's
Yeah.
kind of a core core text. But whatever. Uh, also, I went to see another Netflix movie, the new Catherine Bigelow movie, House of Dynamite.
Mm.
And the premise of this one is basically we have three different storylines. We start, I think, in the White House Situation Room, and then there's another character from the NSA that we follow, and then we follow the president in the last one. And basically, an object is launched at the United States. They find out it is a nuclear missile, and it is following all the characters who are supposed to respond in a situation like that,
Oh
one
my gosh.
set at a time. So all three stories are happening at the same time, and the characters from each story are interacting with each other and talking to each other, and we just get their different perspectives throughout. I
Wow.
saw it with one of our friends. He did not like it. I did, but it is very flawed and frustrating in some ways. But it's got Rebecca Ferguson's in it, Idris Elba's in it,
Oh, nice.
and it's the main frustration. I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, but structurally, the thing that I found frustrating about it is we follow the entire series of events in the first story, and then we do it again in the second story, and
Mm.
then again in the third story, just from different perspectives. And I think what they should have done instead is like follow the first third of events, or maybe half of the events from the first story, and then we get the second perspective, which goes a little bit farther, and then we get the third perspective that goes all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Like from start of the day all the way to the end, because the way it was, it's like, oh, we're gonna get more after the third story, because otherwise, what's the point of this structure? And
Right.
it just kind of it leaves you like because it leaves you without some answers, which is intentional and I think an important part of the movie. But the way it like builds all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, it makes you expect something that just they don't deliver, and it was a little unsatisfying.
Mm.
But I kind of enjoyed it anyway. It was neat. Um,
Okay.
the first story, the Rebecca Ferguson story, is probably the best one.
Okay.
I think it's on Netflix now if you want to check it out. But
Yeah, I
I
might.
also I also went to the Denver like SCI Film Society Theater, I think, was doing a screening series of Hong Kong action movies. So
Ooh.
I went to see John Woo's Hard Boiled, that stars Chow Yun Fat and Tony Leung.
Hmm.
Chow Yun Fat, I guess, like for movies that came out when we were kids that we saw, he's the pirate from Singapore in Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I
and
think I
then
remember that.
yeah, and then things we've reviewed on the podcast, Tony Leung is the Mandarin in Shang-Chi. Um,
Oh, cool.
yeah, I feel like fans of those two actors probably want to kill me for referencing those two projects specifically, um, but yeah, no, it was really it was insane. I fucking loved it. It's like, Hong Kong action movies have like crazy action, but there's a whole like climactic sequence of the bad guys are trying to blow up a hospital, and the cops like have to like stop the bad guys and stop the bombs and get everybody out of the hospital, but there's like a whole little like ward of babies, and so there's just this extended sequence of people trying to like rappel out of the burning building with a bunch of little babies, and then
Cool.
every time one of them like pokes their head out, one of the terrorists just like machine guns the ever living fuck out of the person trying to save the babies. It's so insane. I had no idea that it was going to be at that level. It was wild.
That sounds interesting. I'm gonna find that movie and watch it.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, if you can find it somewhere, definitely check it out. Oh god, it was such a fun like screening. But that is it for me and for us for the show, I think. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
see you guys in 2 weeks for our next episode. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming out. I don't think we've picked what we're gonna do next, but it'll be a lot of fun. And then we're heading into the
Mm-hmm.
holidays as well. So if the release schedule starts to get a little wonky, it's because it's the holiday season. We will make it work as best as possible. But until then, Niles, where can people find you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at Niles Got No Styles, and right here on this podcast too. But what about you, Dylan? Where can people find you online?
On Instagram at DylanD1026, on Twitter at DDay Movies, on YouTube at DDay Movies, and like Niles said, you can find both of us here at Play Pause Rewind, both on YouTube and your podcast platform of choice, as well as our second channel, Play Pause Rewind videos. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. If you like the show, please share it with a friend or family member. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.